if I've got a 5-year-old child and it needs to be hooked up to my blood supply and it needs to use my kidneys, I have the right to choose whether to allow that or not, the same as I do with any other human being. I don't have to be a blood donor, I don't have to be a kidney donor, and I don't believe that I should have to carry another human being around for 9 months if I don't want to. If you want to, if you wanted to have 4 children, fantastic, good for you, but if I don't want to, then that's my right. And let's talk about the history.
We agree about it's a human. It is a human being then.
No, I haven't said that. I've said if it's a human.
You said a human being. It is a human.
Yeah, I've said if it's a human being. I've said over and over again that I don't accept that.
Tell me, Kate, what makes the child in the womb different than you and I here? What's the difference? What's the difference?
Were you not paying attention earlier, Bernadette?
What's the difference?
No, I haven't. Could you please let me finish my sentence?
What's the difference?
What's the difference? What's the difference? Have you got a vocal tick or something? Is this a speech impediment? What is wrong with you? Why can't you have a human conversation? And the answer is because you are subhuman. You are ripping women's human rights away and you are making women's lives a misery. Now let's get to the point.
Is this a case of shooting the messenger?
No, we can't have ding-dong. Let's just get to you make your points and then I'd like to make a point.
Let's get to this. Let's get to this. The one thing that has liberated women over the last 200 years is the availability of contraception and abortion. It's been the one thing that has made the difference from women being trapped in their homes. 150, 200 years ago, the average woman would have been pregnant by 16 or 17, the age at which people normally have sex for the first time. When we would have been pregnant then, she would probably have experienced 10 or 15 pregnancies during her lifetime. And here's the thing, I'm sat opposite somebody, and let's be honest, Bernadette, you don't just oppose abortion, you oppose contraception as well, and you've spoken out and said as much on repeated occasions. Without contraception and without abortion, women would be trapped 200 years ago, back in the Dark Ages. The one thing that, and furthermore, we would have a global population of billions and billions and billions, many, many more than the planet can sustain, which we're already well beyond. The fact is that women have, over the years, been freed, and the number one thing that has freed them is the ability to control their own bodies, because how can you ever be a free human being if you don't have the right to choose? And if you choose to use your body to sustain another human being, that's fine. You can donate a kidney, you can become a mother, you can do any of those things that you want to do. But if I choose not to,
can I pick up on the point of Selita? Okay, so we might sort of push the boundaries, you know, that someone can die because of the pregnancy. How would you answer that?
But I think there was evidence fairly clearly shown the other night in TV3, an Irish documentary that showed that Savita died as from mismanagement. She didn't die because she couldn't have an abortion.
Yes, she did.
She was poorly treated.
No, that's just
I
not
think
true.
the evidence is showing I think it's very clear that the evidence.
It's a lie that your organisation has been spreading and spreading and spreading.
The reality of Savita's case was she died because she wasn't given the right antibiotic. Aborting her unborn child would not have saved Savita's life.
Savita was a trained medical professional, and she knew that what she needed was an abortion. That is why she asked for one repeatedly.
I think you need to listen to the evidence. The evidence,
I have listened
it's very clear.
And you are the person who has been spreading lies and distortions. Your organisation goes round and lies to women and tells them that abortion causes breast cancer. Your organisation goes round and lies to women and tells them that abortion will make them infertile. Your organisation is incredibly dishonest and corrupt. You talked about helping women through crisis pregnancy, and you don't. What you do is you lie to women. You lie to women at any cost to try to convince them not to do something that you don't think is right.
So you've made the charge. Can I just say, I'll give you an opportunity to answer that. Tim. But if anyone wants to look up, they can look up the evidence on this individual. What was her name? Savita?
Savita Halappanavar.
Okay, fine. So we'll move on. I want to ask another. I want to ask a question. You talked about the potential of life. You talked about after a certain time it becomes a baby. Where do you draw that line in the term of the pregnancy?
When it's born. When it's not attached to my body, it's a separate human being. When it's attached to my body, then it's a part of me.
So you don't actually concur with the legislation. You think that the term, the upper limit should basically go to the end of term.
Well, I mean, I actually, you know, speaking completely personally, I can see a lot of benefits to what they have in Canada, which is where it's just decriminalised, where they just say women are intelligent, women are rational, women make good decisions. And what happens in Canada, where abortion is decriminalised, is that we don't see women having large numbers of very late-term abortions. What we see is that, you know,
in principle, you think that it's okay, irrespective. That it's okay to go right to the point of. In principle, now we're just talking.
There's a point in a pregnancy where you wouldn't have an abortion; you would induce birth. You know, and there's a point, and lots of women do actually induce birth slightly before the baby is due for all sorts of reasons, including medical reasons, but also including personal reasons, including other things that are going on around them. Lots of women induce birth slightly before they're due, as I say, for lots of different reasons. And obviously that's not an abortion, that's an early induced birth. And so the difference is, have you had a, you know, at what point in the pregnancy is the fetus able to survive comfortably outside the womb? And the answer is, you know, at that point, obviously you're inducing...
24 weeks is what they, in the legislators decided.
And that's not a very clear point, actually.
In fact, they're now saying that they're almost saying, you know, down to 20 weeks. You know, legislators.
What legislators?
David Cameron.
Yeah, okay. What is David Cameron a medical professional? What does the
well, they have to weigh up medical advice, don't they?
David Cameron is ignoring medical advice left, right and centre, largely because corrupt, dishonest, lying organisations such as Bernadette's feed him false information.
So you mentioned the World Health. Just
so let's talk about the British Medical Council, the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists, all
clearly say abortion hurts women, and all agree. I mean, I've had 4 pregnancies. And I've delivered 4 babies. I've been pregnant with 4 babies throughout the whole 9 months of pregnancy. At what stage do you state that a baby becomes a baby? When it's born?
So you could apply.
You could apply that to a born child. So you really don't believe
just cite the World Health. You mentioned the World Health
Organisation. You're putting words into my mouth.
The World Health Organisation.
Let me get this clear. At the beginning.
Excuse me, Kate. I am speaking. The World Health Organisation
have
clearly moved the goalposts. At one stage, an unborn child viability was 28 weeks. It's moved to 24 weeks now. The World Health Organisation are clearly, a new statement has come out that viability is now 22 weeks. We have unborn children who can survive at 21 weeks. Babies who are born at 21 weeks can survive with the best care. And that's what we want to do. We want to care for mother and child. Obviously, you disregard the fact that in every pregnancy there is a unique individual person. Abortion destroys women, Kate. I have met those women who have regretted their abortions. Psychological suicide tendencies. Breast cancer link, which is proven by 28 studies. If you look at the Chinese study that was carried out recently.
Google this stuff.
Can I just finish on this?
And then you can answer.
It's clearly shown that, for example, Ireland without abortion is the safest place for a woman. We have lower percentage. We have lower percentage of breast cancer. We have lower percentage of maternal deaths. We have lower percentage of premature births. We have lower percentage of mental health problems. Countries like the UK and America, where abortion is legal, we have higher rates of breast cancer, we have higher rates of maternal death. So we can clearly see that abortion is not good for women. It's scientifically connected. The particular study that was shown recently, because China has a one-child policy, for example.
Do you have the name of the study? Because then viewers can Google
the studies can check it on LifeSite News. All the information, all the studies are performed.
That's not a real
there's numerous studies that are performed there.
Look at a real science site. Don't look at a propaganda site written by a bunch of liars.
Well, I'm not a liar, Kate. In fact, I work for a movement that loves women.
I wanted to ask you about that, Bernadette. Great.
Believe women deserve better than abortion.
Let me ask you a question. You say that you're not a liar. So would you like to tell me why in November of 1994 in the Glasgow Herald you said that the American abortion industry was funded by, and I quote, the mafia and the Jews? Would you like to A, explain why you haven't apologised for 15 years for being racist and offensive to medical professionals? And secondly, would you like to apologise now?
Well, I think, Kate, you're a bit confused because I wasn't involved in the pro-life movement in 1994.
You wrote an article in the Glasgow Herald, you were interviewed.
I wasn't involved in the pro-life movement in 1994. I said 1997.
I said 1999.
I think you've got your facts wrong.
No, I said 1999.
We're here to talk about...
November 1999. November 1999.
You said 94 then.
Well, in which case I apologise, I misspoke.
Okay.
You can Google this, Glasgow Herald, November 1994. Okay. Do you believe, Bernadette?
94.
1999, exactly. See, that's the word.
You're very confused.
Just look up, or you can just look up Bernadette on any regular website, and it'll say 1999, November, the Glasgow Herald. You said that the US abortion industry was run by the mafia and the Jews. Do you believe that? Do you want to apologise for that? Why haven't you apologised for that? Why did you say it? Do you acknowledge that you're also a racist?
Why are you attacking someone who's got the truth on their side? I'm here.
Oh, so the truth is that the abortion industry is run by the mafia.
I'm here to talk about the horror of abortion.
Why don't you start by apologising for being racist?
That causes major trauma on women.
And if you don't want to answer that,
but
people who are watching can actually search it.
I think she's reading propaganda.
Let her make a point.
Excuse me.
Make your point.
So earlier on, the very first thing I said, I talked about the notion that we don't have to have a specific, like, finite point at which life begins, that we can see life as a continuum, and that most people, in fact, do if they think about it. I talked about the fact that even if we sort of accept the idea that a fetus is a human being, that still doesn't justify helping yourself to my organs. You then asked me that question over and over again in different ways, even though I had already answered it right at the beginning. So let me ask the same question over and over again. No. Why are you a racist?
Okay, that's the question.
Answer the question, please.
You put that one twice.
The question, please.
But we're talking about.
So I think protecting and giving the equal right to life to everyone. Why are you in favour of destroying innocent children?
Answer the question.
I want to ask a question, so it's my turn.
Thank you.
Okay, but before I do, I'm going to say to the viewers, just to remind you, hashtag abortion debates, and please stack up your messages, because when we enter the second hour with Gordon in the studio, in the control room, you're going to miss your chance. So now's your chance to make a comment on the topic under discussion, which is abortion ethical? I want to ask, and I want to ask about fetal pain. You know, there are studies now that are pointing to the pain of the unborn.
No. No, the Royal College
which is influencing legislators again.
You can Google this. The Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists says
no pain up to birth.
Says that that amniotic fluid, while the fetus is in the womb, it's in an essentially quasi comatose state. And yeah, they haven't changed their guidance on that. The Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. You can look that up. There is no.
Could I ask a follow-on question on that then? Given what you've said about the principle, if there was, with the increasing, science of study of the fetal sensitivities, would you amend your view about taking, the option of abortion to term? If the studies were to say that...
I haven't actually said that, Tim. You're putting words in my mouth. But if the studies, if there was science, and again, we're living in speculative cloud cuckoo land, which is not surprising. Well, yes, most of them funded by organisations like Bernadette's, and thus skewed to produce the results that they're trying to generate by dismissing proper statistical rigour. But if there was genuine, peer-reviewed, proper scientific evidence that suggests that fetuses experienced pain, then obviously what we would do is...
24 weeks or 22 or 20 weeks.
Sorry, I haven't even finished the sentence, Tim. Then what we would do is we would introduce a recommendation to provide anaesthesia to the fetus, wouldn't we? Because we wouldn't want to cause unnecessary pain. In the same way... I haven't finished.
Yeah, let her finish.
In the same way that, although most of us eat meat, most of us agree that we shouldn't use, horrific, outdated, barbaric ways of killing animals. We go, no. If we've decided that the right course of action is to do this, we do what we always choose the route of least pain.
And could I just follow on? Because if there was such a study that showed that the unborn was feeling pain, wouldn't that change your whole view of the value of that life in the womb? And then it would make your sort of calculation in terms of the rights of the mother to her organs and the rights of the child. So would you amend, all I'm saying is, in principle, would you amend your position if this scientific evidence came in?
For two reasons, Tim. First of all, as I've already established, my view on abortion is not about, is this a life or isn't it? I've made that very clear. I think even if you do consider it as a life, it is still the woman's right to choose whether or not to use all of her organs and her body to sustain it. I think that's her choice, in the same way that kidney donation is a choice, in the same way that blood donation is a choice. Secondly, what you're positing is a notion that and again, you're searching for this untenable, put your finger on where does life begin, and you're suggesting at some level that maybe pain is where life begins. But I think it's quite obvious that, for example, chickens can feel pain, and yet I'm pretty sure I saw you have some meat earlier with your dinner.
Fish.
So, okay, fish. But I think if evidence suggested that fish could feel pain, that's the line that you're choosing to draw, is about whether something can feel pain. I mean, if that's how you choose to draw the line, that's very much your choice. It's not the way that I would draw the line. I think if we're going to talk about a life, the first thing that we have to do is talk about its ability to survive on its own. Because otherwise we're in a situation where we have two sets of rights that are overlapping with one another.
Yeah.
And in that situation, I think that the woman who is the adult, who does feel pain and feels all sorts of other things, all sorts of wonderful, soaring emotions as well, has to take priority and has to be given the right to life. And life must mean control of your own body.
Okay. Thanks, France. Thanks for answering that one.
Come in on that.